Hey guys, so for the module 4 project, I thought about doing a video so that I could walk you through a little bit of what is it that I had designed and I had for the students to do. So this is just my lesson plan, and it's for a week lesson plan, as you can see here. For example, Monday, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So the goal is for students to use knowledge and persuasive writing from the unit before and to demonstrate knowledge of this information by creating presentation in conventional and creative ways. So for example, on Monday, I will be introducing the unit organizer, and I will also be introducing the platform that they're going to be working, which is Wix. And they will also explore the rubric that they will be assessed on the presentations. And they will also they will also complete the graphic organizer of persuasion map so that they could get started with that. They will be able to work in groups or independently, or they will be able to choose, and they will be able to choose either a persuasive writing that they have done in the unit before, or they can create one from scratch. And here are the presentation options. And the options that I have listed here, I'm going to show them you more in detail and explain them to you more, a little bit more from the platform. And then on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, they're going to be working on their presentations. And then Friday, they're going to do some self-assessments on their rubrics. And then I'm going to be doing a little bit assessment on their own as well. So I have anticipated a couple of learning barriers. It's that this is going to provide me a lot as a teacher, a lot of flexibility, especially to work with those high students and those low students, especially those low students in this case, because if they decide to do it independently, then they're going to need a lot of prompting on feedback on guidance, organization, and how to get the work done by Friday. And an observation is that either all students can sign up for conferences with me throughout the week. And this project may take a little bit longer than I had stipulated here, but let's make it work. So if you look at the website, which is Persuasion Week, and this is for Monday, they're going to look, first of all, at the unit organizer. And they, just so you guys see, here is the video to walk you through. This is the video that I'm actually doing right now so that you could see. So on Monday, they're going to be looking at the unit organizer. I want them to be completely aware of what is going to happen. So throughout the week, they can see here the schedule. What is it that you're going to be doing? What is it, the last unit that we did, which was persuasive writing, and the current unit, which is persuading in real life, like can you convince me? And the next one is going to be expository writing. And then here, just an example of persuasion and what persuasion was and what is it that we had talked about before and what is it that are going to be expectations and the things that we're going to be working on throughout this week. Just the unit self questions and then just the unit relationships. Okay, so they will also have here access to the rubric. And if you look at the rubric, you're going to laugh because it's actually, I just adapted the rubric that we were using in this module. And I just spaced it for students so that they could have a rubric on and they could know what is it that it's going to be expected from them. Okay, here you can download the persuasive map, which is the map that he had used in the unit before, so they shouldn't be having trouble with it. It's just for them to design and to see how is it that they're going to work on. And here are the presentation options. So later on, I'm going to explain a little bit more in detail this, but what I try to do is to really focus on variability, on high students and low students, which is like strategies for all students. So I gave a couple of options for students to decide and to choose from. And so for example, they would have option A, which is to role play and then to record themselves using the app Lite from their iPads. They could also use the video recorder from their iPads or their cell phones. That doesn't really matter. But what I did here is like, if you sign in here, I mean, all of these apps, obviously, I expect my students already to have downloaded in their iPads so that they could access them really quickly. And they could just sign in here, or they could just see here an example of how to use it. So here's just an example of how to use this app. Okay, so Then the option B would be to create a comic strip, and you would have two choices here, or they could choose another one, just they have to double check with me first. So they have, for example, how to make a comic strip of persuasion. And we've used this one in previous courses, and I thought it was really cool. So they could create here a comic on how a conversation would go through, about persuading someone else. And here's just an example so that you can see a video of it. And here is another one, which I thought is really cool. It's called Comic Life. And it's really nice because I actually use it here a lot with my students. And it's pretty cool for students to design on that one too. And it's really motivating. Another option would be to create a written persuasive dialogue in Word. I didn't attach anything to it because it's working on Word, but to create a dialogue, which we had worked on how to create a dialogue in the past as well. And then the option D would be to create an audio using the Audio Note app from my iPad, the iPad that they have. And this is a really cool app as well, because it not just lets you record, but it also lets you write down notes and to take pictures of things and to put them here as well. So when you play it, you will be able to hear the recording, but then to see a couple of pictures as well at the same time. And here you would have an example of how to use this app as well. The see examples is mostly going to be for you guys because I'm expecting my students to have used these apps in the past before so that they could be used to it. And then right here at the bottom are just additional documents required for the course 841. And here you will see attached is going to be my weekly lesson plan, the self-rated rubric, which is something that we needed for this course as well, explanation of the type of blended learning model that I chose, a couple of citations that support my use of strategies and materials, and what kind of planning did I use. So here you will see my weekly lesson plan, and then here's my self-rated rubric. And then for this lesson, I used the Flex model, which is like mostly delivered, the content is mostly going to be delivered primarily by the internet, but students, they move on at their own pace. And that I think is really important. And I'm going to be there to assist them and to provide them feedback all the time as well. And my citations is, I highlighted a couple of things in black, as you can see, because it's like focusing on the fact that neuroscience demonstrates that we're all very different and that variability is really important to consider, and also about the research that supports the use of technology in order to meet the needs of all students, for creating more robust learning opportunities for everyone, the use of modern technology, accessible to many other students. Like if you can see the students that are more kinesthetic can use the role playing and the video. Students who are more auditory, they could use the audio note. Students who are dyslexics, they could use the audio note as well. Students who are more creative and want to do more comics, or they have there's a lot of options for students to choose. And so I just wrote down a couple of citations that support the use of those materials. And then I used a backward design-based instructional planning. I just explained here about how my whole lesson is actually based on UDL, on the UDL framework, and that I use the principles and what are the guidelines that I took into consideration when designing this, the engagement, the representation, the action and expression. And then I also highlighted like what are the critical elements, like the goal. Well, this was the goal that I considered, and how did I anticipate learning variability? Well, all the strengths and the weaknesses of my students and how they have different options, and then how I was going to assess the plan and the instructional experience itself. So I hope that you enjoy it. If you have any questions, please email me and I'll be happy to answer them. Okay, well, thanks.